The proposed Oxford to Cambridge growth corridor presents unprecedented risks to the local environment and wildlife. The government wants to build 1 million new homes and a huge expressway between Oxford and Cambridge. However, the approach adopted by key decision makers of the growth arc to date risks delivering destruction rather than any sort of prosperity or growth for the natural environment, and it's this natural environment we all depend on. We fundamentally question whether the area can support 1 million new homes without causing untold damage to wildlife. We fundamentally question whether an expressway can be justified when our natural environment is already straining under the pressures caused by people without an additional corridor covering vast swathes of our countryside adding to such stresses. We have yet to see evidence that 1 million new homes and a new expressway can be delivered in a sustainable way without inflicting untold damage on our natural environment. Buckinghamshire is a wonderful county with a huge wealth of wildlife and beauty in it, and it has to be protected. The delightful Ouse River Valley in the north of the county provides a commuting route for much wildlife, with nearby forests being home to one of our rarest mammals, the cute hazel dormouse. Central Berks contains open farmland where birds such as the yellowhammer can be seen flittering between hedgerows, with pockets of ancient woodland providing a home for bats, including the very rare Bechstein bat. The south of the country includes rolling hills covered in chalk grassland rich in wildflowers, butterflies and other insects. Ancient beech woodlands here are of an international importance for nature conservation. And for example, at Calvert Jubilee, which is a glorious lakeside reserve we have sprinkled with wild flowers, it's a haven for bird watchers with tufted ducks, kingfishers, common tern, and it's the only site we have here that supports all 5 species of hair streak butterfly. Yet, we're seeing such sites being threatened with destruction as a result of development. And developers in these cases use offsetting as a way to try and show that actually wildlife can be better off as a result of development. In some cases, maybe that's true, but actually the science isn't there proving that it works. To take ancient woodland as an example. Ancient woodland developed over many centuries, slowly changing to provide homes for a wide variety of species, from butterflies and birds to flowers and fungi. So example, wood anemones, pretty woodland plants that bloom in spring, spread just 6 feet in 100 years. It's impossible to offset for that. Once ancient woodland is gone, it's gone forever. However well planned and considered a newly planted area of saplings may be, it'll take many decades, if not centuries, to grow into the habitat it is meant to replace. In that time, woodland wildlife that's lived there will be long gone. Unfortunately, when there's a human need to build and it conflicts with the species' need to have a home, it's inevitably the humans that succeed in the wildlife that loses out. Animals like adders, bats and great crested newts are all evicted to make way for humans. Moving wildlife is a common way of trying to get around the environmental impact of building projects, but there's a serious lack of authoritative research on the success of these translocation projects, and a serious lack of authoritative research on the survival rates, both of the species moved and the wildlife left behind in the areas surrounding the development. And similarly, destroying a habitat and moving a wildlife from it does nothing for the species that rely on the habitat as a stopping over place. The development creates a hole in our green infrastructure, breaking up or blocking the corridors that wildlife moves along. These interactions between groups of the same species and different species, they're more fragile and complicated than we know. And by the time we realise this, it can often be too late. And this is one of the reasons that that we've taken legal action against the government's approach for the expressway. The government continues to argue that a strategic environment assessment is not needed for the expressway. But we say that the government needs to follow the proper procedure and not press on with its ill-considered plans that haven't been properly consulted on. All hope's not lost though. We've got our legal proceedings and there's a lot we, members of the public, can do to fight for our wildlife. We need to do all we can to protect our local environment. Plans for the Expressway are still being formed, so there's still time to take action. Write to your councillors, write to your MPs, join your local action group, support your local wildlife trust's legal action against the Expressway. It's not too late to stand up for your local environment. Together we can protect what we love.